everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Penguin Nonsense. I am your host, Edith, and we are back another week. Woohoo! We are starting February, you guys. I had a coworker of mine, and he was telling me how he thought the month had gone by too quickly, and I thought it had gone by too slowly. So, I'm interested in what you guys thought. Like, did the month go by a little too fast, or did it go by a little too slow for y'all? But here we are, the second month of the year. We are entering February. I hope y'all have a good month, a good February, and that if y'all had started with like New Year's resolutions, that y'all are still going through them now that we're in February. Or if y'all have Valentine's or Galentine's days coming up, I hope that you enjoy them. I hope that love is all in the air, but don't have anything else in the air, and y'all know what I mean. But I hope that y'all have a good February, and thank y'all for having me another day in your car, in your TV, on your headphones, wherever it may be, at work, on your drive to work, on your drive to the gym, on your drive to the store, wherever it might be. I am honored that I am coming along for the ride or wherever we're going. Buy me a snack, a chocolate bar. I'm kidding. But yeah, so thank y'all for having me here. And without further ado, let's get on to today's first story of the week. So our first story comes all the way from China, and as y'all know, I like space, and this story said, the title was China astronauts generate rocket fuel oxygen in space using artificial photosynthesis. And so I thought this was pretty interesting because we know photosynthesis to be like, the thing that the plants use to live, essentially. And it's something they need from the sun and whatnot to create their food. But to be able to use it to create rocket fuel, I thought was quite amazing, because I'm sure that's going to cut a lot of like these chemicals that we use to make this rocket fuel, because I have heard that like rocket fuel is not very good for our environment. So to be able to use artificial photosynthesis, I think that'd be pretty amazing. So let's read what the article said. It says, China's Shenzhou 19 crew aboard the Tiangong space station have created oxygen and ingredients for rocket fuel for the first time with the help of artificial photosynthesis technology. The crew has successfully conducted maiden in-orbit demonstrations of the technology. They used the semiconductor catalyst for converting carbon dioxide and water into oxygen. The researchers were able to produce hydrocarbon ethylene, which could be used as rocket fuel. They started looking into the idea of extraterrestrial artificial photosynthesis in 2015. So this goes back to like 2015. They have been thinking about doing something with this since then. So that's pretty big that all this time, and we're in 2025, so it's 10 years later that they have finally managed to get it to work. So it goes, the artificial photosynthesis technology significantly reduces energy consumption as it is capable of working efficiently at room temperature and standard atmospheric pressure. Through catalyst adjustments, it can be tailored to produce various products such as methane or ethylene for propulsion. So how cool is that, you guys? I think at some point we start to think that the gases that we use now for like our cars and stuff like that, I know it's not totally the same fuel that rockets use, but to be able to even get to something as big as rocket fuel and eventually maybe down the line convert it to being able to use it anywhere else, I think it's going to be pretty big for our universe or for our planet Earth in general. And I think this is a great step. Honestly, I was really excited when I saw that because I think we don't give our space that much exploration, and I think we all know this, and there's plenty of theories out there, and I think we all decide to believe what we decide to believe of why we haven't gone back to space. So the fact that this might help us be able to go to space a little bit more, I think that's great that we could possibly have this and be able to go on more space explorations. And I know China is the one who's doing it, so I know for us to even get that patent would probably not be visible for us anytime soon. But I'm sure now that we know that China has been able to do this, that we can probably start going towards the same direction and take a look at what they're doing. Maybe not physically, because we know how that goes, but definitely maybe have some scientists start putting their heads together and see how NASA eventually, takes and sees this idea and maybe eventually implement it into our daily lives. So I was curious to see if any of y'all thought the same thing, that this was pretty neat. So you know what to do. Leave it in the comments if y'all think this is a great idea. If you think this is something that we should definitely keep exploring into. But I know for sure China's got it going on. They're doing something for sure. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this cool little neat article that I found. So, and it's actually been recent. It was posted maybe a week or so ago. So pretty recent information. All right. So on to our next story of today. And it comes from Reddit, and it goes, "Am I the a-hole?" From the subreddit, "Am I the a-hole?" And from user _activity_3522. It was posted 1 day ago, and the title goes, "Am I the a-hole for not telling my uncles we won't inherit anything?" When I read the title, I was like, that doesn't seem like nothing too bad, so why would you be the a-hole? But let's read on. It goes, before my grandma, sorry guys, I am having a day today. Let's start that all over again. So it says, before my 18 male grandma passed away, she and I had an arrangement. She gave me money to buy horror novels, and I read them to her twice a week. We spent a fair amount of time together. During one of our latest sessions, she confided in me that she wanted to leave all her money to charities, but decided to leave a college fund for my cousin, 16 female, since Uncle Harry lost a massive part of his savings through gambling. The guy thought he could recover all the loss by making a big bet on Mike Tyson, but then Jake Paul won. So he ended up losing even more. Grandma asked me not to tell anyone about this, and I didn't. I kept my mouth shut. When my dad and my uncles found out, they reacted in different ways. Dad wasn't really that surprised since Grandma was rather charitable, especially in her later years, and Uncle Harry was grateful for the fun, but Uncle John was quite upset, saying that she's their mom and should have left them something. All three of them got suspicious and asked if Grandma told me about this during one of the afternoons I spent with her. I admitted that I knew about it, and Uncle John said I should have told them in the first place, instead of letting them find out this way. That it wouldn't hurt so much if he had time to prepare instead of being caught off guard. After reading that, no, I don't think they're the a-hole. Let me explain why. I think we all have our close family members that we obviously don't want to pass away. The fact that this person was spending time with their grandma at such an older age, at 18, most 18-year-olds would rather be out with their friends, clubbing, whatever they have going on or whatnot. And for them to be at home and reading their grandma her favorite books, which were happened to be horror books, and read them to her twice a day, that's honestly the sweetest thing anyone could do. And the fact that this person decided to go and do this is very, very kind of them. And and for the grandma to confide in this person that she was planning to leave all her money to charities and only leave a little bit for a college fund for this one kid who she thought the dad was not gonna be able to pay for her college was, I think, also awesome. But for this last and third uncle to decide that, well, you should have told us or we could have prepared, that just sounds very fishy. Because I feel like no one should have entitlement to anybody's money. And I mean that in the best of ways, because I'm a big believer that if you did nothing for that person and essentially they got that money on their own, it doesn't belong to you. You have no right or say over it. I always feel like people start going crazy for these inheritance, like, oh, that's my grandma's house, like I should be able to get that, or that's my mom's house, I should be able to get that. Stuff like that. Inheritance breaks so many families, and I truly do not understand why. Because at the end of the day, if you had nothing to do with it, if you didn't help make the house, if you didn't help make those payments, if you didn't help at all, why are you fighting for it? And that's the thing, that most of the time the people who are fighting for these things are people who never even either had contact with them, either helped them in their last dying days or anything like that. And all of a sudden they want these things, because they feel entitled to them. Just because they were related, not because they did anything for this person. So I think at that point, people should really start asking, am I fighting because I know I truly deserve it, or am I fighting just because I want it? And that's honestly a hard look at yourself. And, a lot of people are not going to be happy with that answer or don't want to see that answer. But that's the truth and reality of it. My dad has always been very big in installing in each and every one of me and my brothers to have our own things. From a very young age, he always told us, we're not leaving you any inheritance. So whatever you have is whatever you have. Whatever you made is whatever you made. And that's that. And from a very young age, we knew this. And even, I'm not saying that our parents have like millions to give, but we were always told, make what you have yours, and always remember that that's yours and no one can take it. Even with our significant others, our parents would always tell us, don't let that significant other tell you that you have things because of them. But in reality, make sure that they know that you could get those things on yourself and you're just happy that you have them with you, that kind of stuff. So I think it goes into saying that we should all take that same thing. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you have things because of them, And same way with inheritance, you shouldn't think that you get to have something because of that person, because you were just related to that person. It doesn't work that way. So I don't think this person was a-hole, that he kept it to himself, that this money was going to go somewhere else. The grandma confided in him, and I think that's great. And he's not wrong for keeping it a secret. I feel like if he had told them, I feel like this John uncle would have essentially influence her to leave them something, or make her change her mind, or at last minute maybe stall it enough to where she wasn't able to leave her money to charities and they could dispute it, And that's sad. That's sad that sometimes the worst of things come from family. There's a sad story that my husband had told me at one point, and this person got essentially manipulated and robbed by their own family members. And it's so sad to see that there's people out there like that. So just because you're blood doesn't mean that you deserve everything. But it definitely does mean that we have to be careful, and we have to take care of ourselves before we start letting other people in our lives, and being careful who we let who we let into our lives, because they could end up being people who essentially maybe later in life fight for something that's not even theirs. So with that being said, that's my 2 cents. I don't think they were the a-hole for not telling them. And the first comment, like the top comment, goes, "Not the a-hole. You had a private bonding time with your grandma, and she told you about a decision that she made. You do not have to spill it to anyone else. In fact, it would have been chaos to do so. Uncle John didn't want time to not be surprised and process. He wanted time to go to his mother and pressure her in her dying days to give him money. I bet he wouldn't have even tried to get your dad or the other uncle a cut. He just wanted it. He would have caused a huge family rift as your grandma was dying and taking away her peace. So you not starting that off means you're not the a-hole. And props to you and your dad for being a stable branch of the family. Leaving a college fund for one grandchildren because son had gambled his money, and telling another you don't seem to have at any point asked for or expected her money, and she was confident enough in your relationship to tell you without worrying. Not many 18-year-old guys are that good with grandma, and your dad wasn't surprised it went to charity and doesn't seem to have complained. I hope you all have many happy memories of grandma, and that those horror novels sit nicely in the bookcase somewhere." I thought that was neat, the bookcase part, but yeah, the comments seem to agree that they were on the a-hole for not saying. And I'm glad that one person said the same thing too. Like, I don't think that Uncle John would have taken the time to process that he wasn't going to get anything, but instead had actually done something to make sure he was left something. So, not the asshole. But I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments if y'all agree that he did the right thing, or if maybe y'all think that he should have told him, because at the end of the day, those were the kids of the grandma. So I could see that side too. Those were the kids. I guess they had a right to know, but did they really? So interesting takes. Let me know what you guys think. I put in my 2 cents, and that's that. So, without further ado, I like to say that a lot. Without further ado, on to our third story of today. And it goes, a dog waited months outside a 7-Eleven for her owner. Then a new hope arrived. These pet stories get me every time, you guys. Because of them, I started getting a lot of notifications on different animal stories, feel good animal stories. And it was so hard to choose one. I wanted to tell y'all about every single one of them. But obviously I know I can't do that, or else we'll be here forever. But I thought this one was the cutest one out of all of them. And it goes, last year, while walking near her home in Thailand, photographer Marie Mo met a sweet dog named Mudang. The pup was cheerful and friendly, and in the company of her loving owner, an older man who was homeless. Quote, they walked around the city together, Marie Mo told the dodo, And every day they would come to rest at the convenience store near my house at 7-Eleven. But the next time Mary Mo saw Mudang, the older man was conspicuously absent. Edith does not word, okay? She just can't word. So bear with me. The dog was resting by herself in front of the store they frequented together. And later on, when Mary Mo came by the store one more day, she saw that there was a sign next to the dog, and it had different foods that the dog could eat. So Mary Mo decided to go into the store and ask them, hey, I haven't seen the owner of the dog who usually sits with him outside. And the owner of the store told her, that the owner had gotten sick and eventually had passed away. And that's always sad because I know our animals aren't going to be here forever, but at the same time, I don't think they understand that we're not going to be here forever. And whenever this type of events happen, when the owner goes before the pet, I think it's honestly one of the saddest things that can happen, just because the animal doesn't know what happened. The animal doesn't know why you're gone all of a sudden. And I think that is the saddest thing in this world, you know? This dog kept coming back to the 7-Eleven, hoping its owner would come back to the 7-Eleven, since that's where there was the last time they got to be with each other. And the story goes on to say that the dog waited there forever, and days went by and the owner wasn't showing up. And so people started coming by and they started seeing the dog, and they were like, oh, come here, doggy, you know, that kind of stuff, and feeding it and whatnot. And sometimes some people would try to take the dog home with them. Plenty of people tried taking it, and the doggy would just run away and come back to the 7-Eleven store every time. And eventually they understood that this dog was not going to leave the spot until his owner came back, and little did he know that his owner wasn't going to come back. And so Mary Mo posted this on social media, and eventually it blew up like everything in social media does, right? Well, not everything, but sometimes the good stuff. And she posted this online, and it captured the attention of a lot of people. And so people would start coming by and buying food for the dog and buying little treats for the dog, staying around to play with the dog. There was a nearby school that when the kids let out, the kids would stop by and play with the doggy. It was adorable. Just like little pictures here and there that I was able to see in the article. And eventually people started putting in applications. And while this happened, the owner of the 7-Eleven store and the staff were also taking care of the dog. And the manager took the dog to the vet to make sure he was fine and make sure he got all his care taken care of. So they even went out of the way to get him veterinary care. And the dog was just out there, just chilling, living there at the 7-Eleven. And eventually, like any good post that does go viral, people started saying, I want to adopt this dog. I want to adopt this dog. And they were going through applications, and they got one specific application that caught their eye. And it goes, many adoption requests came into the store, and one stood out. A member of the Thailand's royal family, Princess Sariba, she decided to ask the store owner if she could adopt the dog, inviting the pup to live with her at the palace as her pet. Mundong, who spent months waiting outside for someone who would never return, will never have to face the world alone. And though parting ways is bittersweet for those who care for her in the interim, They know a joyful life awaits for her now, because the princess will be taking the dog. There was a picture of the princess and the dog on the article, and to be adopted by a royal family, dang, right? So I think that's really awesome that he now gets to live a royalty life. And I say that with the kindness in my heart, the biggest kindness in my heart, because to go from being a homeless dog, because essentially his owner didn't have a home, so he obviously didn't have a home either, and just getting to live day by day, to going into living in a palace with a princess who can pretty much provide him anything, and I'm sure the best care that he's going to get is going to be there. I think that's amazing. I think it's great that luck doesn't just turn around for us humans, but luck also turns around for these animals that we care for. And I know that on the article it said that a lot of the people who were coming around to see the dog and to feed the dog and that kind of stuff, they were really sad that their dog wasn't going to be there anymore when they came to 7-Eleven, but they were also really happy that they knew that the place it was going to be really amazing. So I'm excited for this little doggy. I hope it has the best life. I hope he gets all the king's treatment, and or queen. And I hope it has a great time. I'm sure y'all wish the same for it. But I thought I'd share these little good news to end the week. To start the week, depending when you listen to this. But this was a good way to get it going for sure. To see that luck doesn't just turn around for humans, but it also turns around for these animals who've had rough lives. No pun intended. So that was it, you guys. That was our episode of the week. I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I feel like I go through these stories a little too quickly. Maybe because I don't read too much. Or at least I don't think I do. I don't know. But that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope y'all come back again next week. And stay safe out there. I know that there's a lot happening in our country right now. And I don't want to get into details because, I feel like everybody has their own opinion. And I've always been big on saying this podcast that my opinion doesn't matter. And it's just my opinion. But all I have to say is stay safe. Don't do anything that is wrong. All right? Morally wrong, I guess would be the right word. And yeah, that's it. Just stay safe. And I will see y'all again, maybe next week. Hopefully, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, hopefully next week. And y'all have a good day. I'll see y'all whenever. Bye, everybody. Cheese.